hope your Tuesday is off to a fantastic start. Thanks for joining me for Try It Out Tuesday. I hope you had a fabulous Thanksgiving holiday weekend. 4 days off is always nice. And I'm grateful for all of you, and I'm super thankful to be doing this and doing what I love, and I'm thankful for all of your wonderful comments that you left for me. I hope you all had a fabulous Thanksgiving and a fabulous Thanksgiving weekend. Before we jump in and get started, I do want to mention one thing about the item that we're going to be creating with today. This is the Spellbinders Dancin Gingerbread. I think gingerbreads are my most favorite item of the Christmas season. I love gingerbreads. I loved making them, and I just love how cute they are. So we're going to be using this in our card project today. That's the good news. The bad news is they're sold out everywhere. This is from Spellbinders, and I will link this to the Spellbinders shop, which is sold out. But on the Spellbinders shop, if you push notify me when new stock arrive, click that button, and then Spellbinders will notify you when this comes back in stock. This is not just Spellbinders that they're sold out. They're sold out at Simon Says Stamp. They're sold out at scrapbook.com. They're sold out at Cherry on Top. They're sold out lots and lots of places. So I actually debated on whether I should do this for Tuesday or not. But with the holiday around the corner, I couldn't wait too much longer. But the card project that I'm making today is so cute, and I do want to share it with you. So if you wanted to substitute a gingerbread, this gingerbread guy here is about maybe 3 1/4 inches tall. So if you wanted to substitute him for another gingerbread, you could do that. I'm going to be bringing in a die set that has pine needles. So break those out, maybe go through your different stashes and see if you can find some pine needles, or and some poinsettias and some flowers too. You'll see the items that I'm going to be using in just a minute. So I do want to mention that this set here is just so cute, so fun, and it's just sold out everywhere. I'm so sorry. Also, I do want to mention that this set over at Spellbinders has a PDF. Let me insert it here. And so the PDF there basically tells you how to put things together, like the scarf and the hat, maybe the bow, and the little gingerbread dress. Super duper cute. It just helps. The PDF over at Spellbinders just helps as a guide. I don't know if you guys are aware of that or not, but I just wanted to share that there is a PDF for this little set. Now the good news is, since they're sold out everywhere, chances are a lot of you already have it. So this is an inspirational project that we're going to be jumping into. So let's get started. The colors that we're going to be using are some pinks and some sages and some tans. I have all of these are Spellbinders color essential cardstocks. We have sage, dune, alabaster. My camera's going in and out. I'm going to use some white, and then we have some pink sand. So let's start by, I always think Dune creates the perfect gingerbread, and there's 2 different gingerbreads on here, and I'm going to use just one of them today. We will line that up on some cardstock, and then with our pink sand, we're going to create a scarf. And then there's some stripes that we're going to cut out with the pink sand. I'm going to ink blend with my Copic markers. So I'm going to just like cut out my scarf with one color of pink, and we'll do a little ink blending. This piece here has the pom-pom and the fluff part of the hat, the cuff of the hat. That's maybe, I don't know what that's called. But it also has the bottom fringe of the scarf. So we're going to cut that out with pink also. There are some icing elements for a gingerbread, and that's where our white cardstock will come in. I'll die cut that out. And then there's a little bow that is in the hat part or cap part of the gingerbread. I just want the bow. I don't want the cap. So we will die cut that out with pink also. And that's all the die cutting we're doing with our Dancin Gingerbread. Now I'm also going to use my alabaster and my sage, and we're going to do a little bit more die cutting. I mentioned the Build-A-WREATH, the pine needles in here, and I'm going to die cut those out with my sage. The nice thing is Any kind of florist that you have would work perfect. And actually any kind of gingerbread you would have would probably work great for this card too. So there's the pine needles. And then we have our petite blooms. We're going to die cut all at once. I'm going to take my tag. I'll die cut this out. There's an insert that says for you. That's going to be my greeting. And I will cut that out with my alabaster. I'll go ahead and tape this down. Okay, and then we have our poinsettia. I'm going to cut 2 of those out because we're going to layer them both together. We have our flower bud. This has the flowering bud stem. I'm going to cut out with white cardstock. I'll do 2 of these. And then you have the flower bud. I'll cut out with the pink sand. There's some leaves in here, and I like this longer one. We'll cut out maybe 4 of those with our sage. And I'll do actually 6 of the pine needles with the sage also. And then we also have this piece. I'm going to die cut this out with the sage also. Lots of greenery. And there is one more flower in this set. I'll cut out maybe 2 or 3 with our pink sand. I'm going to have to close the blinds because the sun's coming in. Yay for the sun though. I really enjoy the sun. We've been having some dreary days, so yay for the sun. Okay, while we're die cutting too, we might as well create our backgrounds and die cut out everything at the same time. I'm going to be using my Spellbinders postage edge rectangles. And I'm taking my alabaster cardstock. I'll die cut that out with the largest. This just creates an maybe a little less than an A2 panel, and it adds dotted detail. So I will cut that out with my alabaster, and then I'm going to take, let's see, the next dotted detail rectangle. I'm going to cut this out with some white cardstock. We'll cut out a panel with this with white. We're going to do layers. And then we have the postage edge that fits right on the inside of this. We're going to cut this out with some more of that alabaster cardstock. We can actually cut it out over here. Okay, so we have some die cutting to do. I'm going to run everything through, and then we're going to bring in some Copic markers and do a little bit of ink blending. And I'll be right back. I have everything die cut out. So we have our first layer with the dotted detail. We have our second layer that has another dotted detail, and then we have our postage edge that's going to layer like this. Okay, we're going to put this off to the side, and then we're going to do a little bit of coloring. I already started my coloring, but I do want to share with you how I colored. For these, not these ones here, for these 2 leaves, let me zoom in. I added just a little bit of color with my Copic markers. The ones that I'm using are these 3 colors. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. I'll put the caps out for you guys. But I have a darker green. And all I'm doing is just at the base of the flower. All I'm doing is adding some dark green at the edges here. And then I'll take a medium green. This is YG63. We'll kind of fade out. And then I'll take my lightest green, which is YG61, kind of fade them all together. And I'm not worried about going over the stem. And then our leaves are done. Pretty easy peasy. After we have our leaves done, I'll put these off to the side, and we're going to work on our pine needles. You can see I have added a little bit of white to the edges. Now you can use a pigment ink for that, but sometimes I think embossing powder just works better. So I have an embossing pen. This is a Versamarker. I'll link one down below. And I'm going to take my pen and just go around the edge of my pine needle. You can use your ink pad too if you wanted, but I think I have more control with a pen. Just add a little bit of that Versamarker on the edge, and then I'm going to use my tweezers and I'll pick it up from the stem. I have my white embossing powder. I'm going to do a little dipping and tapping. You can see the white edges. I'll bring in my heat gun and I will melt it. And we'll do the same thing. Now this one is a little bit light, so what I'm going to do is heat it up and then dip it while it's hot. And it just gives me more of a frosty edge. So if you dip your embossing powder while it's still hot, you can get a more intense white edge. So our pine needles are all done. I'm going to put these off to the side. Now we're going to put together our blooms. I did one here. Okay, we have the little pieces that we go on our bloom, and for that we're going to use some, for our blooms and actually our flower we can color in. We're going to use R32 and R37, and I'm going to add just some dark flicks to the center of my flower. Just a little bit on here, although you won't probably see this one. Just add a few little flicks. And then we have the blooms. We'll do the same thing. I'm going to bring in my tweezers here and hold the top. But I'm just going to add a little color. If you don't want to fuss with this, you can always use maybe Spellbinders Dahlia cardstock would be real pretty, and you wouldn't have to do no ink blending. So we have a little color to our buds. I'm going to add a little dot of glue to each one that are on our stem. And then just using my jewel picker upper here, we're going to add our blooms to our stem. And I'm going to layer these both together, add a dot of glue here, kind of offset them a bit. So we have blooms and flowers. Now we need some scarf elements. I already did one. For our scarf, basically what we're going to do is the same thing. I'm going to use my R37, and I need my tweezers here. These are small pieces. Now this is one of those steps that you can completely skip. I always like to start with the top piece. We have the top piece. I'll skip one, add some glue, skip one to the very bottom, and then for the top of our scarf we're going to add glue to the middle, skip one, and then there's deboss detail, so you know exactly where to put the glue, which is nice. Now all you have to do is layer them, follow the deboss detail, and you know exactly where to put them. But you see how just coloring those edges really kind of bring the scarf to life a little bit. We're going to add this piece, the fringe, and the very top piece. And then we have our scarf. All good to go. To create the scarf, what we're going to do is just layer the top and the bottom like this. Add a glue dot, layer these two together. So I'm not going to add them together just yet, but eventually they're going to go like this. And we're going to put them on our gingerbread. Using those same color of Copic markers, we're going to create the bow. I'm going to take one of the circles from our icing pieces, and then we'll put that in the center. And then for these flowers, all I do is add the lighter ink in a circle, and then add the darker ink. I'm going to put a gem in here. And then those flowers are done. Just blend them both together. And those flowers are good. And then we just can add some highlight to our bow. So those are all the accent pieces that we're going to do. Now we have our gingerbread. Oops. I am going to bring in these 3 markers to add a little bit of color to my gingerbread. And we're just going to add some highlighting, and I'm going to go around the edges. What we're going to do is basically just toasty up the edges. If you wanted to use some Distress Oxide inks, you could. And I'm not worried about the top of my gingerbread because that is where our frosting is going to go. Now, for the back of the face, I have some dark brown. This is Spellbinders Timber cardstock. And we're just going to trim down a strip. Flip over our gingerbread. I'm going to add some glue around the face and around the eyes. And we'll go ahead and add this. Just trim it. Make sure I skip those cheeks. And then I will trim one more piece for the mouth. And then we'll go around the eyes. And then I will add some pink cheeks. Thinking one strip we can just go straight across. Yep, we'll just hold it down. If you wanted to take the die and die cut it out and inlay, you very well could do that too, but I think this is just quicker. And there's our cute little gingerbread, all rosied up. Okay, now for my gingerbread, I'm going to add a little glue behind here. Okay, we'll add our scarf underneath. There's no right or wrong to do this too. I think the scarf can be just placed wonky. And then I'll add another dot of glue here, and then we can add the other piece to our scarf. And then I'm going to flip this around, and we can add a little glue to the upper portion of our gingerbread, and we can add this. Of course, if you wanted to add some dimension, you could by using some foam tape, but I'm going to pop my gingerbread up all at once. So there's our cute little gingerbread. Now what we're going to do is add our frosting. So the base of our gingerbread's done. I'm going to go ahead and add some glue behind our frosting. And then we can place this on our gingerbread. I just love frosting. This would make just a cute tag or an ornament, don't you think? I just love that. And then we have the bow we created. I'll add a little dot of glue here. And we're going to tack that here up on the icing. And then we have some icing elements. I'm going to use my tweezers for this. We'll add a little glue. And then we can place some icing on the bottom here. That's our gingerbread. All delicious and too cute to eat, that's for sure. If you were to put a little tag on there, watch. Let me show you. If you were to just put a little tag hanging from here, wouldn't that make a cute little tag or an ornament? So cute. Oops. But I have my red string here because I'm going to take that red string. This is Spellbinders hemp cord. Let me show you. It comes like this. And it is red. Spellbinders has red, black, and white. The white's not really white, it's more of an ivory, but the red's real pretty. And what we're going to do is take this twine. I'm going to fold it in half. And since we have it out, I'm going to go ahead and thread my tag. If you want to put an eyelet in here, you could. But I'm going to go ahead and pull this through. And I'm going to put a foam square behind here also. I like to tie a bow with the tag when it's tacked down. It's just easier for me. Okay, so our tag is good to go. Now I'm going to use some alcohol and clean off my work surface. If you ever have a glass work surface and you get alcohol markers on your glass surface, alcohol works great. They have this in a spray bottle that I picked just up from the store. I do a little spraying with it. And then I just use a towel and it wipes up beautifully. And then you can also use that spray to clean your markers. If you have any kind of alcohol markers, alcohol will work great for cleaning up the edges. Just a little tidbit for you guys. Okay, zoom back out. Now these are all of the elements that we're going to use on our card today. So fun so far. I did go through my clay confetti, and I don't know where I got this from. I'm thinking I got it from Spellbinders, but I don't think so. Maybe it came in a card kit. I don't know. But these have the cute little peppermint candies. There's stars in here. If I can find it, I'll link it down below, or maybe a substitute. But the clay, I think Pretty Pink Posh may have some of these. But it has the peppermint candies that I think are going to go perfect in the center of my flowers. So what we're going to do is just use a little bit of glue, add a dot to the center of these flowers, and then we're going to add some cute little peppermint candies to the center of these flowers too. I think that's just going to go perfect with our gingerbread. Okay, we're going to, now we have our background elements. We're going to go ahead and take our base Alabaster cardstock, and we're going to place it on our card base. I mentioned this was slightly smaller than an A2 card base, but the largest die and the postage edge will cover your card base completely. So it's this, not slightly smaller, it just covers it completely, which is great. I'm going to take my postage edge, add some adhesive behind here. We're going to tack that down to our white piece. And then this is the panel that we're going to, well, and then I'll take this panel and we will do a little bit of layering with it. This is going to go in the middle of our card base. Now is the fun part. I'm going to start by adding my gingerbread right in the center here. And then we're going to do a little tucking to the left and to the right. We'll add this little guy right here. I mean, that alone is super adorable. And then I'm going to use my glue, and we're going to tuck some pine needles underneath. Now, before I add any more of my greenery, I do want to add my tag. So remember we put foam tape behind here. I'm going to add my tag down here at the bottom. I'll place it, and then we'll tie a bow with it. And then this way we can build around our tag, kind of fill in that open area. But we also have some texture to our card. Okay, we have our smaller leaves. These are great fillers, but honestly, I think we're pretty much filled in. I think I kind of want to, I always like to do more than less when it comes to greenery, because you can always stick it back in the package and use it for another card project. Okay. With this last piece, I'm going to trim it to make it a little bit shorter. And then we're going to tuck this under our For You. Let's do a little tucking with this. Wonderful. I just love these colors and how soft it is. This card, I'm not going to add any extra sparkle because I think there's a lot going on. But I love the way this turned out. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll leave a link to everything I used down below. Thanks again. I hope you had a great, fabulous Thanksgiving weekend, and I appreciate all of you. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. We'll see you soon for another card making project. Have a great day. Bye-bye.